Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories like these. Now, let's get into today's story video.
My fiancé, female 23, lied to me, male 26, for 3 months about wanting to fix our relationship. Then cheated on me with a guy at work. This is a long read, but please make the effort to complete it. I'd want to share my experience with the rest of the world. On the 22nd of August this year, we announced our engagement to one another. Yes, she said emphatically. We lived together in an apartment for a period before moving into a house that we were renting out jointly. I reasoned that everything was going swimmingly in our relationship. It took approximately a week after we moved in before she grew distant. Dismissive. I brought it up to her the night I discovered it, and she spent the most of the time I was speaking with her on her phone. Keep in mind that she was dismissive during the whole story I'm telling you. Let's fast forward a few weeks and see what happens. We had planned to treat her to a birthday dinner out with friends and family. It wasn't her birthday yet, so this was just a small early celebration. I wasn't delighted with the situation at the time since we were suffering difficulties, work was difficult, and we had to put down a cat. Our buddies noticed that I was melancholy later that evening. We were at this spot, and I was on my way to the next destination. Just get over it, she told him. Just be thankful for me since this is the final weekend I'll be able to celebrate my birthday. That night, she grew intoxicated to the point that she needed medical attention, and I was forced to call an ambulance. At some point, she told me that I was dumb for doing it and that I didn't have to do it anymore. Her native state is the state of Ohio. We used to spend a lot of time there visiting her family. When we returned the next weekend, she was dismissive once again. Nothing she said or did was directed towards me, nor did she make any physical contact with me. It was the last night we were there that I broke down and sobbed. I was worried she was going to leave me without a word. When she observed that I was crying, she swiftly stated, "We need a break," and later that night, she told me that she was returning to Ohio to be closer to her family and that she was leaving me. It was clear to her that Ohio would be a repeating theme in her life, and she planned to return with or without me. We never took a break from our labor. We said that we were in need of the services of a professional therapist. I had to go out and get a therapist because she would never go out and find one. We hadn't had any relations up until this point. Maybe a month from now. When I returned home from work one day, I told her that something needed to be done about this. She informed me that she did not want to have relations with me. Her curiosity in other guys has piqued the attention of others. Due to the fact that she was upfront about the other individuals, I thought she was not cheating on me. She first refused to tell me which guy it was, but she later admitted that it was one of her employees. We went on a date once in an effort to reignite the flames of our relationship. When she texted her boyfriend, "I would prefer to be with you, but I have to be here and pretend as if I wanted to be in this relationship," I knew what she was talking about. When I called her up on it, she responded by inventing this. She also hit me in the face on another occasion when she grew furious with me. And she went on to say that she was not sorry about anything and that I was an emotional, which was the reason she didn't want to have relations with me. On the 19th of November, she went on a girls' outing with her friends. My request was for her to come in the night before. At the very least, please reassure me that she is okay. I couldn't care less about who she was or what she was getting up to. What was most important was for her to know that she was safe. She was never in a position to do so. I had to wake her up at 2 a.m. to ask her a question. She said that she was indeed. The next day, she returned, claiming that they had planned a night out with the bar staff and that a guy had tried to pick her up. It struck me as odd that she hadn't informed me of this the previous night. Normally, she would do so. I was skeptical, so I checked her phone to make sure she was serious. I learned that she had sent a Snapchat shot of herself and her friend's buttocks to another guy, which I thought was hilarious. I confronted her about it, and she immediately accused me of being odd and creepy for peering at her phone without her permission. She then left the building and went to a friend's house. We had a brief separation for a few hours. But I managed to get her back into my arms after she begged us to sort things out and attend the therapist we had scheduled. It hasn't even occurred to us to seek counseling at this point, she explains. As a result, I began putting things together shortly after. At some point around Thanksgiving, she started staying late at work and returning home without retrieving her engagement ring from her car. On December 10th, I saw that she was messaging the guy she worked with. We arrived in the city on December 11th, and I saw she had contacted him a couple times that day as well as the previous day. I was annoyed at the time. The next day, I brought up all of the red flags I had seen and was met with an exclamation of "Oh my, I'm so sorry, when you say it all like that, it sounds horrible." This was a conversation in which she grew defensive at first, then did not, and then did so once again. She said that they exclusively spoke about work throughout their conversation. As a consequence, I asked that the text be read to me. "Trust me, if you read them, I understand what you're going through," she said. "You're going to be outraged." Later that night, we had planned to have a game night and spend quality time together as a family. We were playing games when she took a couple quick glances at her phone. She then decided she didn't want to continue playing games. She had worked herself to exhaustion. We sat in bed so that I could watch television, and she sat in a position perpendicular to the television. My suspicions were confirmed when I saw her frantically flicking through her phone, searching for photographs. I'm thinking to myself, she's giving this dude nudes right in front of me, and she is. It seemed like her feet were on top of me. My friend's phone is charging right next to me. As she turned over, I asked if she wanted to charge her phone. She said she did. There was no response from the audience. I expressed 2 more points, but got no response. It sounded as though it was speaking to a stone wall in the background. It was 7 a.m. on December 13th when I finally got up an hour later, slept on the couch, and dumped her. She didn't put up much of a fight, to be honest with you. She nodded and returned to her desk. She came back later in the day and gave me the ring she had given me. The woman confessed to me that she had been dabbling in relations with this guy at work and that she had been lying about it all. She said she didn't have me in mind when she made the decision. She even wore the ring while she was having an affair with me, which I found rather amusing. Her co-workers were all aware that something wasn't quite right with them, according to her. The length of time that had been going on was something I wanted to know. She stated she didn't sure how long it would take, but it might be many weeks. After I asked her about it, she said, I hadn't had with him. At least not yet. She was unable to look me in the eyes for the whole of the conversation, and she made no attempt to apologize. Following our conversation, I went upstairs to make touch with several people. I walked back down the stairs. It was after she had left her perfume and hair in the shower that she continued to have relations with this guy. Additionally, I was aware of where she was supposed to remain, but she was not present. And it was the last straw. That was the conclusion of our in-person talk. The whole 3-month period, she would encounter challenges, I would feel the need to go, and she would fight back and say, we can figure it out. If I was upset or sad, she grew impatient with me. She went through with it because, according to her, she felt bad for feeling this way and that it was having an effect on her. She was also sneering and dismissive. She didn't bother to ask about me, and her friends didn't bother to talk to me much either. She made it seem as though I was the source of the problem. She wouldn't even cuddle with me or kiss me on the lips. She'd stay up late on her phone, avoiding conversation with me. In hindsight, these 3 months were the most difficult of my life. It was something I detested, and as a consequence, I was extremely unhappy. She was well aware of this, and she was also well aware that I was fighting on her behalf. She couldn't have cared less. She didn't give a damn about me. Deep within, I'm aware that she cheated on me for the first time in September of this year. I also have a strong feeling that she has previously had relations with him. Now once it's over, it's over. I'm able to be satisfied. That whatever this woman did will remain on my body for the rest of my life as a physical reminder of her actions. I have the ability to rehabilitate and restore my identity. Following today's post, I am enraged, outraged, and perplexed. However, I instantly feel better since she is no longer giving me discomfort. Any girl who takes advantage of my devotion and lies to me about anything would have my whole contempt. I'm relieved that she's no longer here.